What happens when your neighbor calls the cops on your 7-year-old for selling lemonade? My daughter Emma had been planning her lemonade stand for weeks. She drew little signs, practiced making change with her piggy bank, and even researched the best lemonade recipes on my phone. Saturday morning, she set up her tiny table at the end of our driveway with a hand-painted sign that said Emma's Lemonade 50 cents. Within an hour, she had a steady stream of neighbors stopping by. Mrs. Chen from across the street bought 2 cups. The mailman paid $1 and told her to keep the change. Even the grumpy teenager from 3 houses down smiled and bought a cup. Emma was beaming, carefully putting quarters into her mason jar and thanking everyone who stopped by. She had made almost $8 when I saw our next-door neighbor Karen marching toward us with her phone pressed to her ear. Yes, there's an unlicensed food business operating in my neighborhood, she said loudly into the phone while glaring at Emma. No permit, no health inspection, probably violating multiple city ordinances. I walked outside confused. Karen, what's the problem? It's just a lemonade stand. She covered her phone and snapped. That little operation is bringing traffic to our quiet street. Cars are parking everywhere. Property values could be affected. I looked around. There was literally one car parked on our street, and it belonged to Mrs. Chen, who was still chatting with Emma. 20 minutes later, a police cruiser pulled up. Officer Martinez stepped out looking exhausted like he'd rather be anywhere else. Karen immediately rushed over to him. Thank goodness you're here. This illegal business has been disturbing the peace all morning. Officer Martinez walked over to Emma's stand, looked at her homemade sign, and asked, how much for a cup, sweetheart? 50 cents, Emma said quietly, suddenly nervous seeing the uniform. He handed her $1 and said, keep the change. This is excellent lemonade. Karen's face turned red. Aren't you going to shut this down? Where are the citations? Officer Martinez looked at her calmly. Ma'am, there's no law against children selling lemonade from their own property. This is completely legal. But the permits, the health codes. Karen sputtered. Don't apply to kids selling lemonade, he replied. This is actually encouraged
in our community. That's when Karen made her biggest mistake. She pulled out her phone and started recording Emma while shouting, this is how neighborhood property values get destroyed by parents who don't teach their children to respect community standards. Emma started crying. That's when something inside me snapped. Officer Martinez, I said calmly, is it legal to harass and film someone else's child on their own property? His expression darkened as he turned to Karen. Actually no, ma'am, I need you to stop recording and step back onto your own property. This is public space, Karen argued. No, this is their driveway, he corrected. And filming a minor without parental consent could be considered harassment. Karen huffed but put her phone away and stomped back to her house. Officer Martinez bought another cup of lemonade, told Emma she was doing great, and drove off. I thought that was the end of it, that Karen spent the next week documenting everything. She took photos of every customer, measured the exact placement of Emma's table, and even started a neighborhood Facebook group called Protecting Our Property Values, where she posted daily updates about ongoing commercial activity violations. The harassment continued for days. Karen would come outside every time Emma set up her stand and glare at customers until they felt uncomfortable and left. She put up signs in her yard about illegal business operations with arrows pointing toward our house. That's when I decided to fight fire with fire. I did some research and found out something interesting about Karen's house. She ran a home-based business doing bookkeeping for local companies. Clients came and went all day. She had a separate entrance installed, and she'd never mentioned getting permits for her commercial activity. I called the city's business licensing department and asked about the permit requirements for home-based businesses. Turns out Karen needed 3 different licenses and permits that she'd never obtained. Monday morning, I made a call. Yes, I'd like to report an unlicensed business operating in my neighborhood, I said using Karen's exact words from the week before. 2 hours later, a city inspector knocked on Karen's door. I was outside watering my plants when I heard Karen's panicked voice. What do you mean? I need permits. I've been doing this for 2 years. The inspector explained that home businesses required licensing, zoning approval, and tax registration. Karen owed nearly $3,000 in back fees and penalties. That afternoon, Karen marched over to our house looking furious. Did you report my business? She demanded. I smiled sweetly. I was just protecting our property values like you taught me. She tried to argue, but I cut her off. Karen, if my daughter needs permits to sell 50-cent lemonade, surely you need them to run an actual business making real money. Karen's bookkeeping business got shut down for 6 months while she sorted out her licensing issues. She had to pay all the back fees, install proper signage, and limit her client hours. Emma's lemonade stand, meanwhile, became the neighborhood hit. Other parents started bringing their kids by to support her little business. She made enough money to buy a new bike and donated $50 to the animal shelter. The best part, Karen moved out 3 months later because she couldn't afford her mortgage without her business income. Emma still talks about her successful lemonade business and how sometimes you have to stand up to bullies, even the grown-up ones.